here today to talk to you about my preferred personal protection load for the 12 gauge. Uh, Obviously, you know I love shotguns. Uh, and if any of you have seen posts on my social media or articles that I may have written in the past, you know that I prefer the #1 buck over double aught buck. And the reason why is because with a standard double aught buck loading, you have 9 pellets, 9 .33 caliber pellets. With the #1 buck, you have 16 pellets of 30 caliber. So just that little bit smaller difference in size allows them to fit a whole lot more in a shot cup. And on top of that, 9 pellets in a standard double aught buck load weigh just a shade over an ounce. 16 pellets in a standard 2 3/4 inch load of #1 buck weighs 1.35 ounces. So as far as payload, you're getting a little more bang for the buck, I guess you could say, pun intended. You know, when I worked down at Fort Pillow State Prison and Farm, we use #4 buck, which is 28, 24 caliber pellets, and we had pretty good results out of those. I know of one particular incident where an inmate was running away, actually running toward one of the state houses down there. It was actually the warden's house, and he was hit in the back of the head with a load of this from about, I'm gonna say it was probably, from the way everybody talked, about 35 yards, and several of the pellets got him, and he lived. That did slow him down, and hasn't been quite right since. At least the last I knew of. I haven't worked there in a long time, but this #1 buck, being a little bigger, a little heavier, probably could have carried more energy, might have been better served in that situation. Obviously 1 or 2 pellets from a standard double aught buck, if they could have made contact with him, would have probably had a little better results. But I like the #1 because of that. Another reason I like the Super X is because #1 buck is made as a hunting load. #1 buck is loaded, it's buffered. It means there's a buffering compound mixed in with the shot that keeps the shot from deforming. It also has a full length shot cup. The shot is protected as it's traveling down the barrel by the wings of that full length wad. On your standard double aught buck loads, they are buffered. If you get a good load like a Remington or a Winchester or Federal, they are buffered, which helps prevent the shot from getting deformed. But they just have a felt wad. So you're talking what, 1878 technology? These are much more consistent in the way they pattern, and I'm just extremely happy with them. Now I know some of you are saying, well, there are 2 3/4 inch loads you can get that have 12 pellets in them, and there are. I got some right here. Excuse me. And they are made by SMD or Cellier and Bellet, or Cellier and Bello, however you say it. I don't know how they say it in Czechoslovakia. Don't really care. But these do have 12 pellets in them. It's a pretty big increase in payload. Pretty impressive. Bigger by a third. The problem here is this is 1.5 ounces a shot, so it's a low brass shell. So you figure they're clocking what, 1,100 feet a minute. That's costing you some energy, where these are around 1,300. So also, without being buffered, the shot deform. I've shot a lot of these over the years and have been consistently disappointed in their consistency. They do not pattern well at all. They're erratic. You cannot predict in any way how they're going to pattern. And so I like the number one buck. I like the Super X. I generally don't have the greatest, especially if you're talking about the economy, bulk ammo. I'm not a big fan of Winchester, but Winchester's premium loads, I will stack against anybody's. I get it. Their bulk loads can be pretty trashy, but as far as their premium stuff goes, I'd say probably only Federal does it better. And let me show you something else about these S&Bs. You like the fact that you get 12 pellets out of one. And I'll go ahead and grant you that velocity may not be that big a deal. It's kind of like the caliber of the pellet, 33 caliber versus 30 caliber. Probably the person you hit with it is not going to know the difference between 1,150 feet a second and 1,300, but they may. Let's lay 5 of them out here, and let's lay 5 standard U.S. loadings of my number one buck. Okay. See a problem here? Even though these S&Bs are a standard 2 3/4 length hull, they are almost 1/4 of an inch longer than the U.S. Better grade U.S. ammunition, and that's how they fit 3 more in there. Okay, they use instead of a crimp, they use a plastic disc over the shot. And you say, well, that's cool, right? Well, look, if I'm loading my old Remington 870 Wingmaster, it's a slug barrel, and I have big dot tritiums on there. Maybe you can see. And I have a 3-inch extension, or a 3-round extension. I can fit 7 + 1 of these in here. I can only fit 6 + 1 of these in there. So, all things considered, I like this number one buck, and I've been for many years since I was a kid. Y'all know I've been a gun nut. I was raised in the 70s. I guess my formative years reading guys like Colonel Jeff Cooper and Skeeter Skelton, which is probably why I like wood stocks on my riot shotguns, and yeah, I still call them riot guns. I know the cool word now is tactical shotgun, or tactical shotty, which sounds just a little limp-wristed to me. But look, there's no doubt that any of these rounds up here will serve you better than your 32 Kel-Tec, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is that Peter Hathaway Capstick, I grew up reading Capstick too, and he was a professional hunter in Africa, and whenever he had to go into the long grass after a wounded leopard, he preferred number one buck. And he said it's, you know, it's a really good load for thin-skinned, medium-sized, dangerous game. And what is a miscreant going to be? Well, he's going to be a thin-skinned, medium-sized, dangerous game. So that's why I like the number one. I'm going to insert a still photograph here and show you I cut some of these apart and separated their components so that you can see the difference between the wads, between the payload. You can see the buffering, and I'll insert it at the end of this video so you can check it out. Let me know in the comments. You may think that double aught buck is better than number one for some reason. Put it down in the comments, and who knows, maybe you can change my mind. You know, I'm pretty hard-headed, but you know, I listen to logic. So subscribe, click the bell so you'll know whenever I put out a new video. I'm going to start trying to do one, at least one a week, and just let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.